the Roomba out? Like, that's gross. Are there space ants? Because they're going to get ants. Hey guys, it's your girl Aisha, aka Geek XX Chic, and we are here with the season finale of season 4 of Invincible. We're on episode 8, which is called Don't Leave Me Hanging Here. So the last episode, we had a battle, right? We had Viltrumites versus ex-Viltrumites. I mean, they're still Viltrumites, but they've gone against the cause with, of course, the bunch of freedom fighters that was gathered by the coalition. It was knockdown, drag out. People got hurt bad, but our main three, meaning Nolan and Mark and Oliver, all managed to come out alive, but not before Nolan pulled an ultimate move of destroying the entire planet of Viltrum. So his hope with doing that was that it would crush the spirits of the Viltrumites that were remaining and get them to scatter and decide to figure out what they were going to do for themselves, but it didn't have that effect. We see that after Thetis was killed by Thrag then decided that they needed to find a new home. He was not going to let the Viltrumite dream die with the planet. So the only compatible planet that they know of now that can create more Viltrumites that are very close to the OGs is Earth. So they figured out a little too late that that's where they're headed, and they've got a head start now. So I guess it's a race now to see who can get back to Earth and what it's going to mean for Earth now that they're there, because we've already seen that Earth could barely handle one Viltrumite. I can't imagine them handling. How many did Thrag have with him? At least 5, 6? So yeah, we're going to have to see where that all, I mean, the fact that this is the season finale when there's so much unfinished is crazy. I have a sneaking suspicion we're not going to take out all the Viltrumites in this episode, but we'll have to see what they got up our sleeves. So without further ado, let's jump into the episode. Just before I do, though, a reminder to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. Yes, this season is over, but I will be here for next season. So if you're interested in sticking around for that, not to mention I've got lots of other really cool stuff in the catalog you can check out. So hopefully you will join the fam. Also, a reminder that if you'd like to catch the entire season uncut as far as the reactions, you can do so on my Patreon. All right, that out of the way, let's get into the episode right now. Oh God, there's too many. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh God. Well, sorry, Earth. This is all Nolan's fault. Y'all just gonna start out with a freaking tsunami? That's how we're saying hello? I mean, anyway, it's not like Earth likes Viltrumites anyway. Ooh, can we release the Hell People? How'd these guys go up against the Hell People? Actually, probably not very well, because Mark was able to handle them. Oh, damn, the tsunami's still coming. Okay. Well, hope you can swim. No? Cool.
What?
You need to stop worrying and sleep.
If that was a dream, I feel like it's more of a vision.
One question.
Hello?
What exactly is the plan if the Viltrumites
Right, I'm
are
like,
on Earth?
can we do anything?
I see. Great.
Y'all don't have one of them portal machines. You can't go to a different... See, this is why you shouldn't have killed Angstrom. He could have portaled y'all to someplace else where these guys are not.
It's just overseeing the defense of a few hundred planets, myriad civilizations, and trillions of lives.
Easy peas.
Thetis wouldn't have chosen you as his successor if he didn't believe in you. And I wouldn't have let you accept if I didn't believe in you.
Damn, she said, it's a good thing I like you.
I guess what I'm saying is, if it gets real, I'm ready for anything.
Well, you have been through a lot now, girl.
We could let them have Earth. I mean, who really liked that place anyway? Kind of a shithole, am I right?
Sadly, you're not wrong. Yeah, they're not listening.
We'll send the ship back to Telescria, then organize a resistance and wait for reinforcements.
Bye, Mark. Yeah, he's like, I'm so sorry, Dad. His mom and his girlfriend are down there. There was no quietly sneaking in. See, Earth's still intact so far. Thrag's an asshat, but if he says his whole goal is to repopulate Viltrum, he needs more humans alive than not. So to kill a bunch would not make any sense.
That's not exactly dropping in quietly.
They're not here.
You sure?
They're not here.
You sure?
Who's taking care of him?
He's gonna be fine. But we were worried that...
Damn, first Amber, now this? There's no way they'd kill Deb. There's no way. There's no way. Sandra Oh is a Golden Globe nominated actress. Thank you. Play with me. Interesting that he had the same thing that happened to Amber. Well, Amber didn't die, but the same grip.
What happened out there?
It was bad.
Mom, I'll tell you everything.
It's very bad.
Dad's outside. He's going back to Telestria to be with Oliver tomorrow, so...
Just hovering, because she can get you up there.
What were you thinking?
Hi. Hey, she's angry. That's good. That means she doesn't hate you.
He's not alone. We have friends there. He's getting the
No
best
choice.
possible care.
He had no choice.
Oliver was so brave.
A little stupid, but also brave.
I'm heading back to be with Oliver until he's better. Debbie, it broke my heart to see him hurt.
It really did. He tried to protect him.
You need to have a heart to have it broken.
Okay, Deb. Okay.
Stop.
Not gonna lie, it's kind of hot.
You need to give me a chance to make things
Okay,
right.
now you've gone over
I
the
don't
line.
need to do it.
Yeah, she doesn't need to do anything.
You believe in rehabilitation, in second chances.
Oh, not him clocking you, girl.
You thought you knew me. And you did, even if I was hiding part of myself from
You did get the real Nolan for the most part.
Please let me show you who I am now.
Y'all tied with Mark for the rest of your lives anyway, so I'm not saying you gotta fall in love with him again. But yeah, you might as well get to a place where you don't hate each other. That's also better for you, Deb. For your health. For your health. I mean, she has every right to vent her anger, as long as she wants to do it. But it's kind of like...
You're so... alive!
I missed you too. And you're so
dirty. Filthy.
this.
Haggard. Please wash.
This Geldarian stuff, I tell you, it is not reliable. Okay, not reliable at all.
Right now, the Gadarian nanites are pissed.
What happened?
About that.
I wish I knew.
About that. Can we get the Roomba out? Like, that's gross. Are there space ants? Because they're going to get ants.
Mark!
Has she put on weight, or is it just me?
But not using my powers, living here, eating with my parents, I haven't had the time to take care of myself much, so...
All I noticed was how much I missed you.
Correct answer. Always. Men, take notes.
We destroyed their home. They're not gonna let that go.
But you said there's not that many of them, right?
One is pretty much too much for one planet, so...
It won't make a difference.
You got that right.
Power is stable.
Are we trying to bring the other guys home?
Quantum components are in superposition.
Monster Girl will be 85 now with grandchildren?
It worked!
Yee! Close it, close it, close it, close it! I don't know why you talking about Jesus. She said nothing to do with this.
Donald, shut it down.
That should have been the first thing someone tried to do. The two in the middle. Those, they're the only ones different. Well, that's the way to do it.
My area of expertise.
You don't say.
Yeah, I guess you had to try, though.
Robot and Monster Girl will have to find their own way home. Clean this shit up.
I unfortunately have to agree with Cecil on this one.
Everyone, order. We must use it. Please, order.
Shut up, I think is effective here.
Searching all possible sectors.
And why haven't we found them?
Because
I'm
it's
glad
been
you
like 2 weeks. Can you hold on?
We do not appreciate your flippantness.
What's flippant outside of the tone of his voice, which is natural?
Any number of Viltrumites is too many, and none of our worlds will be safe.
I don't see you out here searching or taking out Viltrumites yourself, so...
Did Thetis trust them? Or was he simply using them as a weapon against their own?
You know, we'll never know.
Leadership. Or have you already forgotten what the Viltrumites did to your own people?
Okay.
And when that happens, I will decide what we do next.
Period. It ain't easy wearing that crown, is it? He never asked for it, to be fair.
Where are they gonna go now if they don't have a home? That's the problem.
2 guesses. I never know what's real with Mark.
Hey, we're here. It's okay. Come on, let's go sit down for a minute.
Although that quad did see quite a bit of trauma for him in the past.
He's still processing whatever happened to him.
He almost died. Very, very badly.
Because I've seen that look before.
He's experienced it. Not myself.
The mirror.
PTSD, baby.
I understand they were concerned about Earth, but still.
I'm sure he'll be fine.
You think Nolan would leave it, or Mark would have left him if he wasn't going to be okay?
Planets? I mean, all that stuff is your
You've
world,
never had a
whether
normal
you
relationship,
think
ma'am.
It is or not.
Or parenthood.
Probably also another reason why things between us didn't work out. You're as much a part of these aliens, space wars, and superhero showdowns as Mark or Oliver are.
And there's a small matter of how you're still in love with your ex-husband, who's actually not your ex because you didn't get divorced.
I know what happened with my powers.
What do you mean?
Was it the pregnancy that jacked them up?
There's something I need to tell you.
Eve.
Quickly! Is this real? I'm assuming every time we see this blurry in and out vision that maybe this is his PTSD kicking in. Well, if anyone can take what he's about to do to her, it's Eve.
Mark?
That is the only advantage I will say to Eve being with Mark, is that she at least is physically can put up with the abuse that people near Mark will put up with.
I don't.
Please, let me. I need to say it all.
Please,
first, okay?
please let her finish, please.
Sorry I did this to you. I should have been here.
Well, at least that's out.
Everything you know will be gone.
The amount of growth he's experienced since the last time he was here.
Think it's a good idea coming back here again?
He has his reasons.
Earth? Or this specific spot?
Probably both.
That's close enough.
People don't
You
trust
have to
you.
be afraid.
Right? If he wanted you dead, he would have done it already.
I'm sorry for all the suffering I caused here.
Earth or this specific spot?
Take your pick.
I'm not sure it means enough, but it means something.
That's all he can do at this point.
I assume since you're back, you all won the war? I don't need to worry about your old Viltrumite pals dropping by unannounced.
But there are still almost 40 of them in hiding somewhere.
I'm sorry. You call that winning?
You try fighting a Viltrumite!
40 very pissed off space super Nazis who are going to be hungry for revenge and know that Earth just happens to be where you and Mark keep your loved ones. And how long would it take the cavalry to get here if one did?
A week or two.
2 weeks.
Oh, this just gets better and better, doesn't it?
Sorry.
Make up for my mistakes.
Earth isn't your therapy couch, Nolan.
But it's like the only place he can atone.
I risked my life out there trying to win.
Respectfully, Nolan, this is not the place to look for sympathy, bro. It's not going to happen.
Great start. Nearly died 2,341 more times.
That's how many lives you took.
And then we can talk.
Sorry, Nolan. Road to redemption for you is going to take a few centuries, unfortunately. Maybe not a few. At least one. You need this generation to die out.
It's like there's this bomb that's gonna go off somewhere and kill so many people, and there's nothing I could do about it because I'm the reason it's there.
That's not you, Mark.
I can't do this to you. It's not fair.
Yeah, Eve's grown. She makes her own decisions.
I know what could happen to you, or me, or anyone else. I've lost people. People I loved more than anything. This is my
Rex. Her actual true love.
But not being here, not trying, not taking those risks with you, that's not how I want to live.
After that, I'm heading back to Telestria to check on Oliver and continue the search for...
She coming with you.
What about...
That guy.
Not that it's any of your business, but we ended it months ago.
He's like, really?
But our lives were too different.
Cool. You didn't give me all that extra, but...
Stay safe until I'm back.
Are you sure about this?
She wouldn't do it if she wasn't.
I'll see you soon.
Probably best that Deb's not going to be here for whatever comes next.
It can come down into our atmosphere, but
I'm going to have to take you up.
I'll have to...
Unless you want Mark to. Keep that scowl on, Deb. You gonna swoon a little, I know it. You gonna swoon a little.
I'll let you know when we find Thrag.
She's swooning.
What just happened?
It's complicated. Your parents are getting back together. It's scary. Therapy.
The view through the main screen is really spectacular, if you'd like to see it.
Kind of once in a lifetime thing. No. Pull it back. Not yet. Patience, Nolan. I know it's not your strong suit, being 1,000 years old.
Seems like you and your dad just kicked the hornet's nest without getting rid of all the
You get
bugs.
out there and do it then, Cecil. Well, if this is in fact real, Cecil is a bot, so he'll be fine.
Oh, hey, Mark. Donald.
Not okay.
It's
It's PTSD.
just hold on.
Panic attack.
You know how a long time ago you said you had people I could talk to?
Oh, there we go.
Why don't you give Mark a lift home?
He's not in any state to be flying right now. I'm glad that they're showing that the PTSD of almost dying is very real for Mark, and seeing just how far away he was as far as strength and ability than Thrag, because that's no small thing. Like, Mark has been near the death a couple of times, but what happened with Conquest was visceral, and he had no time to process it because he went straight into battle after it.
You should go out for a flight. No destination, not looking for trouble, just a flight. It'll help.
I agree, you should go outside. When you are going through it, which Mark is, being outside is actually super good for your mental. I would also venture to say, Mark, that having a good long conversation with Amber would probably help you a lot right now, but she's not really your emotional dumping ground, so Amber was always very good at grounding Mark. We never know anymore. This feels more like something Thrag would do out of everything we've seen. He's like, please let this be another PTSD hallucination. Wow, Mark. He really don't learn, huh?
Stop.
Right? Clearly this is ineffective.
But if you continue to be irrational.
What do you want?
To have a home.
And ensure the future of our race. It has not been easy.
I don't care about your sob story, bro.
But still more than enough to tear this planet in half.
That is true.
It would be fair repayment for the many offenses.
Many? Okay, the planet was a bit much, admittedly, but the rest y'all earned.
Let me explain your future to you.
Oh God, no, please. Please.
We will live among you.
You can.
Walk your streets. We will
Steve Harvey!
disappear. Your people will never know.
They will. Y'all are too arrogant. You're all too arrogant. You will definitely stumble.
As we use them to birth our salvation.
Oh, I know this one will definitely. That one always looks like a freak to me.
We will rebuild our race. Your very existence proves this is possible.
Sorry, Mark.
In return, I offer a truce.
Truce?
We will not influence, affect, aid, or endanger Earth in any way.
Mm-hmm. Just as long as we have long enough to birth enough kids to eventually enslave y'all.
Do you and your planet accept my terms?
I don't speak for the planet, bro.
Choose annihilation for both our people.
Okay, let's go down together, actually. I'm petty like that.
Let you use us to breed. Let you get stronger on my planet after everything you've done.
If his hand starts going like this, Marky.
Never.
I appreciate the heart. You
My
gonna
answer
accept. I mean, I hate to say it, but I think accepting would be the right decision right now. Because they could do a lot before the coalition gets here.
I accept your terms.
But guess what? I can always break it at any time. But sure.
You've become our savior. Willing.
Damn, don't give Mark that on top of all the other PTSD he already has. That sucks. You bought time, Mark. That's what you did. There is really no choice, like he said.
You have saved the lives of every living thing on this planet. You will not hear from me again.
Hopefully the next time you meet, it'll be to take his head off.
Another agreement on interplanetary munitions labeling? What?
The paperwork that comes along with leadership, huh?
Is running the coalition of planets too much for the mighty Alan?
It is. He was a
yeah.
slacker before, and he enjoyed it.
A message from beyond the grave. Thetis left it for you in case of his.
He's going to tell him about the virus. He's going to say it's the last resort. And I mean, if all the Viltrumites are on one planet at the same time...
I know know you will live up to the responsibility.
This is the evil villain pose, by the way.
Cursed you with.
I'm glad you know it's curse.
I have hidden a terrible weapon of last resort.
As I suspected.
I only hesitated to use it because it may also strike down those with similar genetics.
AKA humans.
Mark's people, for instance. Use the Scourge virus to finish what I started, and let nothing stop you. No matter the cost. Every last Viltrumite must die.
And here's Alan with his own absolutely ridiculous heavy choice as well. Mark had his, there's Alan's. Both impossibly hard to make as one person. Who wants to bear that responsibility? But yeah, okay, here we are with the season finale, and I think that it was a good way to wrap up what happened in this season. You know, returning to Earth, Mark, you know, I think the two things there, well, actually, we'll say 3 areas that we're kind of focused on, but Mark was definitely the focal point, which is good. This is his show. And as I mentioned in the reaction, his PTSD, it's been building since season 1, really. But he's never really talked about it because he's always had something that's kind of become the next most important, literal world-ending thing that he had to deal with. And that kind of kept him distracted enough not to have to deal with the nitty-gritty of it, but it's been compounding and it hasn't been going away and it hasn't been dealt with. And so, you know, from season 1, for his dad beating him within an inch of his life and finding out the horrible truth of his heritage, to, you know, all the things that happened on Thraxa and Oliver and thinking his dad was dead, to coming back and having to deal with the Angstrom situation, almost dying at that, you know, because of that, almost seeing the people that he loved die because of that. And as much as people don't want to hear it, but it's the truth, the breakup with Amber, who, I'm sorry, you'll never convince me, that was his first love. But either way, that situation falling apart the way that it did because he felt like he couldn't protect her anymore, and honestly also for her feeling unprotected. And then straight from that to having to take care of all these things on his own, trying to do his best to manage the planet without a proper Guardians team in place, and all these repercussions of past things that have happened, whether it's because of his father or other things coming back to haunt him. Like, it's just been nonstop, constant, and Mark has been just tamping down all the trauma, tamping down the negative emotions, tamping down the panic. And the panic is not new. Like, he's had little glimpses of it in past seasons, but we really got to see it in full effect here since he came back to Earth. And again, the almost dying at the hands of Conquest, again, that really, I think, was, you know, as they say, the proverbial straw, right? Like, he didn't have time to process it when he first woke up from that months-long coma he was in, because he went straight back into the big battle. But even the things that happened in the big battle, right? Again, he's gone up against, like, he saw Conquest was his biggest, you know, the biggest mountain he had to go up against. And he thought that was hard. But then seeing Thrag and the difference between them, as I said in the episode, like, it is, Conquest and Thrag are not even on the same level. And Mark struggled. We saw that. He struggled with all of his being to get Thrag. And to get Conquest. And I still believe Conquest, the only reason he won is because low-key Conquest wanted to die. But that aside, Mark going through that, seeing the levels that Thrag is on, seeing how hard it was, how hard won, how many people got hurt or almost died in this battle, only for them to have taken out from, I think 5, in the whole course of it, they killed maybe 5 or 6 Viltrumites. That's it. Out of the remaining that are left, they only got like 5 of them. Yeah, they destroyed the planet, but the planet was like, as Nolan said, it was a tomb. There was no life on it. There was, outside of shattering some ideals, it didn't really make a dent in the Viltrumite power or their ability to do what they do. And that's where Cecil sadly was correct when he said, so y'all just gave them nothing to lose and then let them loose on the universe. How did that help? Cecil had points, but as I said in the episode, bro, you weren't there. If you weren't out there risking your shit, if you can't do a damn thing against the Viltrumite, I need you to shut up, actually. Nobody on Earth really has the right to say shit to those guys, because Nolan, this is new to him. It's also new to Thetis outside of, actually, no, Thetis knew what he was doing. Thetis almost wiped them bitches out himself, but you get my point. Most Viltrumites have never gone up against each other like this. Like, yeah, they've had their little purges and stuff like that, but there's always kind of a line. This is completely different. So I need people to stop acting like Nolan and Mark and all these other people are supposed to automatically know how to deal with this super Nazi race, as Cecil would put it. It's not an easy thing to do, and no one on Earth can do it. So just pipe down, sir. But I get it. You did have a valid point. The plan, I don't know what Nolan was thinking in that moment. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. Nolan was thinking the way that he thinks. He thought that, okay, if this ideal that's built around the planet is gone, maybe they'll just give up. But yeah, he completely underestimated how unmovable and unshakable the mantra and the propaganda is in Thrag's mind as far as one Viltrum forever. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's literally a product of that system. So he doesn't exist without Viltrum. Let's put it that way. Without the Viltrumite way, without the Viltrumite mandate, Thrag has no purpose, and that's why he's holding on to it so deeply. Whereas Nolan had other things to hold on to. That's why he could give it up. But coming back, so yeah, with Mark, witnessing all of that, seeing those things, realizing that the situation is crazy, and that, like I said, he's seen what Thrag was capable of. Because again, remember, Thrag could have killed him. He's very aware that he saw his dad get almost disemboweled. Thrag could have killed him out there, chose not to. Mark knows he only lived because Thrag chose not to kill him. That is just a lot. That is so much trauma in such a short amount of time. And it was too much. He came back to Earth. And again, the helplessness that he's feeling because he knows that the Viltrumites are coming, the anxiety of that, coupled with the PTSD he had, as we saw, he was starting to have waking hallucinations, right? But seeing the people that he loved killed, seeing people die and him not being able to stop it, that's also part of his PTSD, is how many times he's seen people die, having to take life this season, but choosing to take life this season to try to fix problems. Like, all of that's been mounting on Mark, and it just kind of came to a culmination point in this episode. And then, unfortunately, when it came to Eve finding out that she, was going through this whole huge thing that affected both of them as far as being pregnant and choosing to terminate the pregnancy, the guilt that he felt about not being there and not being in a position where she felt comfortable to tell him about it, that's just, again, it compounds onto it. Mark loves to take everything on himself, right? He loves to self-blame. So that just added to that. And yeah, it just became too much. And we see that it's to a point where, like I said, Mark is now seeing things. He's having panic attacks. His mind won't stop. He can't sleep properly. He doesn't want to go out. He just kind of wants to find a corner and just kind of wish it all away. And that's not possible. And so, I do like that in the end of it all, Cecil did, when he saw Cecil, he's like, I think I do need to talk to someone. Like, I can't handle this on my own. I've tried and it's not working. And now it's hitting a fever pitch. So, please help. And I do think that talking with somebody who's a neutral party will help Mark a lot, because, I'm going to say it, I've been very good this season if you ask me, but when it comes to Mark and Eve, I'm sorry, like, there's so many reasons that relationship just is never going to click for me. And those two, like Eve never gives Mark anything of use as far as like how to handle or help him in any way. Like, they never have any conversations of true depth, and neither of them feels comfortable talking to each other about real stuff. So I'm like, anyways, they're young, whatever. I guess, if this show has them together, hopefully they can write some ways for them to grow and be more and better partners to each other outside of just the sex. But at the moment, that's literally all they have. They have sex and the fact that they can fight together. There's literally nothing else. Neither of them is really able to help each other with the stuff that matters most. And that's kind of the foundation of a long-term couple. You need to be able to handle real stuff. So anyways, but I'm glad that Eve finally got a chance to say that and get that out of her system and kind of grieve that whole situation. And, Mark got a chance to know what was going on. I think, for myself personally, I would never have an abortion. That's not something that I think is the right choice. But in this situation, I understand why Eve did it. And considering that her powers went wonky because of it, I do have my questions about what would happen with that child. There's just too many question marks as far as what those two in particular having a baby would turn out to be. But anyway, Eve made the best decision for her. And I do think, considering the situation as it is right now, that is probably best. Again, that doesn't mean they're never going to have kids. There is opportunities to do more. And especially for Eve, the way her body is, unlike a human woman who there's a lot of medical possible implications around doing something like that, her body can repair itself. So she will be fine to have kids if and when they are ready in the future. But yeah, I do think that considering everything, I understand the choice. And I do feel for Mark, it does suck that he couldn't be there and be a part of it. But in the end, it was Eve's decision. So, it is what it is. But I think that once he's past the guilt of not being there for her emotionally, I do think he'll feel like it was probably the right choice, because dealing with a newborn and all of this right now, I think is pretty much the worst thing that could happen to either of them, especially if that newborn had a crazy amount of wonky powers. So that whole thing, it was good to see that Mark is, again, I like that the show is showing that this is something that Mark has to deal with, that as invincible as he thinks his body is, his mind is not. And there's a lot to process, and he needs time to do that. And while it sucks that he now has this extra weight of knowing that the Viltrumites are there amongst them, seated in with all the billions, I think he made the right choice in that moment. In that, I get it. Like, obviously, hell no. Like, let's go down together. That's the that's the petty side of me. Like, yeah, let's both burn. I don't care. But truthfully, with all that Mark has been through, where he's at emotionally and mentally right now, this was not the choice to give him right now, first and foremost. But the fact that the Viltrumites had already snuck in and no one noticed, and they're already integrated amongst the people, knowing the level of devastation they're capable of, knowing how mentally and physically exhausted Mark is, the fact that the coalition would, by the time they got there, Earth would be an absolute wreck, Mark made the right choice. There's like, if no other reason to buy time, he made the right choice. Will there be repercussions that are bad? Yes. Viltrumites, the males anyways, can breed. I don't actually have no idea. Maybe Viltrumite women maybe their pregnancies only last a week. I don't know. But if they're like humans, those males can impregnate a lot of women in a very short amount of time. They could potentially get thousands of women pregnant in a matter of weeks. So those implications alone would be very, very dangerous. And as I said in the episode, these kids, Thrag talking about we can coexist. No. The Viltrumites, their manifesto is that the strong survive. So how long would it be before these kids, these hybrids, the ones that actually did become more Viltrumite than not, would eventually be told and raised to believe that they're the supreme ones and everybody else deserves to be either slaves or dead, right? Like, that is the future of Earth if things continue. So there will be repercussions, but like I said, I think Mark made the right choice given that the downside, right? I like that Thrag made it very clear that he said, you have a choice, although you don't really have a choice. Like, if you want to choose war, it's going to cost billions of lives. So, I've said this in many of my reactions that there's always a choice, but sometimes the other choice is so bad that it feels like you only have one. So that's what happened to Mark here. Both were evils, but right now this is the lesser because it's saving billions of lives, and Mark's seen too many people die, and too many people will continue to die if he didn't make that choice. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens with next season. The main things for Mark will be to figure out a way to deal with his trauma and start to think more clearly, and then of course figure out some way to build a plan to get the Viltrumites out and try to to weed them out. But as I said, as they're probably already impregnating people as we speak, I really don't know how a long-term solution will be for that potential eventuality. They need to find a detector, I think, some way to detect who's a Viltrumite versus who's human. That's probably the first order of business. Now, the other bigger part of this story, I think, was again Nolan, him being back on Earth once again. He's he's still very much dealing with this whole forgiveness thing. It's very new, and I don't know. I think he just kind of, like I said, Thraxa kind of spoiled him for being his first foray into being forgiven for poor behavior, because he really thinks that humans are going to act like these Thraxans and be over it, in a couple of days. And no, right? Humans have long memories, particularly when it's trauma induced. And, seeing first how he handled the situation with Debbie, the conversation with her, and her basically being like, why are you back? And how could you leave our son someplace? And for the record, I feel like Deb was a little off base with that, because I get that she's like, did you leave our son with strangers? But, I mean, neither Mark or him let her know how badly Oliver was hurt. I think she's inferred that because he couldn't come, but Deb was being a little ridiculous on that. It's like, ma'am, to try to bring him back, he probably would have died. Like, he's where he is because that was his best chance for survival. And also, let's be real, from what you've seen, I think it's pretty clear that other planets probably have better medical services than Earth would have for him. So, I know she's just being a mom, but I'm like, that part, I was like, girl, calm down. If you know Mark, you think Mark would have left his brother behind if he didn't think he was in a safe place? Like, come on. But anyways, between that and then of course the back and forth between the two of them, Deb is angry, and she's kind of, I think the majority of her first visceral anger has already gone. Like, that first conversation she had with him, I think that got rid of a lot of that pent up anger she'd felt towards him. Right now, she's very much in her petty era. She just wants to make Nolan hurt. She wants to hurt his feelings. She wants to make him, she wants to poke him, right? She wants to poke him emotionally because she hurt for a long time. Like I said, I'm not mad at her for that. Like, do what you gotta do, girl. Get your lick back if that's what you need to heal. But it's to a point where I'm like, okay, but for, what's the benefit after a while, right? Because this is not Deb. Deb is not a hateful person. She's not vindictive. She doesn't like to hurt people on purpose. So she's starting to hurt herself is my point, and kind of hurt her own character with continuing to go out of her way to hurt Nolan. And it's kind of like there's not much, there's no more benefit to it, I guess is my point, right? Nolan, it's all done. The time is gone. You've had time. He's had time. So it's kind of like, At this point, you'd be better off just not talking to him than except for saying the things like, oh, you need to have a heart for it to be broken. Like, Deb, I get it though. Like, I know that in her mind, she can't fathom that Nolan did some of the things that he did, like beating Mark within an inch of his life and killing all those people. Like, those are things that she can't fathom. And that's why, you know, I get why she kind of makes those comparisons. But I love that Nolan said, you did know me. Like, you knew me. Like, maybe I hid some parts of myself from you, but you got the real me. And what I didn't say in the episode, what I meant to say was that she actually saw more of the real Nolan than anyone had before, because the real Nolan's been hidden away for the Viltrumites, right? The Viltrumites told him he had to be this cold-blooded, calculating death machine with like the mission of continuing to expand the empire and have babies. That was what's been, you know, burrowed into his mind since he was however old he was when the Scourge virus happened. Deb got to see the guy who opened up his heart, the guy who learned to have fun with his kids, the guy who learned to, you know, play around and to be unserious and to, you know, really, you know, enjoy romance and all these things, like build connections. That's the real Nolan that he had to hide from the Viltrumites for so long because he would have been accused of being weak if he had shown it to them. So she doesn't realize that because, again, no one's really going to ever understand what Nolan went through unless they saw somehow like a visual account, if there was one, of what it was like to live on Viltrum. But, you know, the point is, she saw the real Nolan. She really did get the real Nolan, and that's what she fell in love with, and vice versa. And so, you know, I love that he kind of called her out to say, like, Deb, you are not a hateful, spiteful person. This isn't you. You're somebody who believes in redemption. You believe in people growing and doing better. So, you know, he's like, stop with this, right? He's like, you don't have to necessarily like me, but you don't have to keep being this vitriolic. It's not doing anything for you. And so, you know, I think that, you know, she heard that. She's not going to necessarily be, you know, she's not going to be ready to cuddle up anytime soon. But if you notice, when she finally made the decision to go with him back to what's it called? I always forget the name of the planet of the coalition, but either way, you notice that she just went to not speaking, right? For now, she's like silent treatment, but that's good. That's progress. As I said, it's better to be silent if you got nothing nice to say. So it is a step in the right direction. And it shows that I think she's starting to pick up that Nolan has in fact changed. Like, again, is it a 180? Maybe not, but he's not the same man as he was when he left. So anyway, I think that was a really good moment, a good conversation between the two of them. And, you know, finding out that Deb and Paul didn't work out, that's no shock to anyone. Like I said, she's still in love with Nolan. That's all there is to it. They're getting back together, guys. I'm sorry. In my canon, they're getting back together. Like, they're soulmates. That's all there is to it. But anyway, I'm glad that she made I'm glad she made the decision to go and be with Oliver, because, you know, her mind was never going to be at ease until she knew he was okay. And of course, the whole trip there and being there, all that is going to give her and Nolan some good time to talk and, you know, really get emotions out and have more civil conversations about everything. Because as I said, I do think the relationship is salvageable, but I'm fully for Deb dog walking him for a bit, because we can't have that man ever taking her for granted again. Okay, that pet comment alone deserves him being dragged for at least another couple months. So anyway, that was kind of the other thing with Nolan. Of course, the conversation with Cecil, and, you know, Nolan again being like, telling Cecil, hey, like, I almost died out there. Like, I really gave a lot to protect Earth. It's like, sorry, Nolan. Like, Cecil was not the guy to tell. Cecil's not the guy. No one on Earth that is related to or knows of or was around for what happened in Chicago and those other places are going to want to hear your sob story, bro. Respectfully, no, right? Like, you're gonna have to accept that they're gonna probably hate you forever, and nothing you're ever gonna say or do is gonna feel like any form of atonement for them. And you gotta accept that. That's part of atoning, is recognizing not everybody's going to recognize it or appreciate it. So hopefully he'll get there, but I'm glad that he just kind of took it. I know he wasn't happy to hear Cecil be like, I'm unmoved and I get lost. That's how it's gonna be. As I said, he's gotta let this whole generation die out, basically. When this whole generation dies out, maybe he might have a chance of rebuilding some rep with Earth. But for now, he's just gonna have to accept that he's gonna be enemy number 2. You know, once the Viltrumites show their ass, they'll be number 1, but he'll be number 2 for a while. But yeah, that was pretty much Nolan. I think those were the major things that were covered, right? Again, really just about Mark and his mental health. Like I said, Nolan continuing this apology tour. Oh, of course, and then we ended the episode on Alan being told about the master virus of the Scourge virus. We know from many episodes back that Thaddeus's mindset was that all Viltrumites have to go, including himself. Like, he was never planning on, this is what I pick up, I don't think he ever planned on being the last Viltrumite ever. I think he wanted to like end it and take himself out in the process if that's what it took. And yeah, him letting Alan know that as long as there's a breathing Viltrumite that's not me, basically, and maybe Mark, and it, well, actually, maybe that's it. There's no safety. They could breathe. This could start again. Like, it's all gotta die. So he was like, here's the virus. It can wipe out what's left. I'm telling you, you need to use it. Figure out a way to get them to one place, launch this sucker, let it go. But like he said, I can't guarantee that people with similar DNA are not going to get hit. We all know that humans have the closest DNA to Viltrumites that we know of right now. So if Alan decides to take this thing to Earth, as we know, it's going to be like Viltrum, right? It's going to be, yes, the Viltrumites will die, but billions of humans will probably go along with them, and who knows what'll be left. So yeah, as I said, like, I get it. Logically speaking, it makes sense. It does make sense. But we already know that Nolan had a very strong opinion about whether or not using the virus the first time was a good idea and if it was fair. And I already said in that episode, I discussed it quite a bit, that I don't agree it was the right answer. I understand why Thetis made that decision, but it was not the right one. There was a lot of Viltrumites that could have been like Nolan that were, you know, wiped out. And the same here, like having a bunch of Earthlings die just to take out 37 Viltrumites is kind of crazy, including Mark and Nolan. And all that to say, I get where Thetis was coming from, but I do disagree. I don't think releasing the virus, especially if it's going to be released on Earth, is going to be a good thing unless they could guarantee it was only going to hit the Viltrumites, which they can't. So we'll have to see what happens next season, because I have a sneaking suspicion that if in any way, shape, or form, actually I do wonder what would happen if Cecil finds out about it. I do wonder, because he's the guy that, you know, makes those types of decisions. Would Cecil think it was worth risking the life of billions just to get rid of those Viltrumites? I wouldn't put it past him. Let's put it that way. But at least I think maybe, I almost kind of think that maybe Cecil should know about it, because he's got people on his side that could potentially figure out ways to either refine it to a point where it wouldn't hurt humans, or maybe super proof it so it absolutely takes, I don't even know. But Cecil's so unscrupulous that I'll need more time to consider that one. But we'll have to see what happens next season, because I can't think things are going to get any easier or better. Even though the Viltrumites, even though Thrag promised that there's going to be no violence for now, I don't see it with the Viltrumites. They've been raised with too much of a superiority complex. I just don't see them not showing their whole ass at some point, at least some of them. And what's that going to mean when that happens? Will Thrag pull it back? It looks like he left Earth for now. I feel like he did, because I don't think he wants to be there, because he knows he's not going to be able to blend. He's got way too much of a narc complex to be able to blend with these lowly humans. So yeah, I do wonder what's going to happen in the next season when they're attempting to mix in. I do think one or two are going to like it on Earth, no doubt. But yeah, there's ones that are going to cause trouble. So what's that going to mean, and how are they going to handle it when that happens? So plenty of things to look forward to for the next season. This one was good, I think. I think we got a lot of interesting moments. Again, I feel like the whole point, once again, was just showing how overwhelming this whole situation is right now for Mark. And as we saw in this episode, it's definitely taking its toll. So maybe next season will be about him getting his mental health back and slowly crawling his way back. But we're just going to have to find out. So thank you so much for watching along with me, guys. I appreciate your comments and your interactions. It means a lot when doing this show. Hopefully you'll be around for next season to continue this journey with me. If you haven't already subscribed, please do. Even though this is done, there's plenty of other things that I react to here that I think are in the same vein. So hopefully you can find something in my catalog and keep this party going. So until next time, take care, and I hope to see you in the next video.